Hello, everyone. I'm so lucky. We are so lucky, I should say, because we have Alaine Alldaffer here. And I've known Alaine for a long time. And so we have some history. I'm not going to say how long ago, but Alaine, I'm just so glad that you came to spend some time with us and to just kind of tell us how things have been. So thank you for being here.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
For sure. So Alaine, I was thinking about, this interview coming with Alaine. I've known her for a while. And one of the things that came to me that I feel like I don't even know the answer to is
Okay.
what you've been doing this for 25 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. What keeps you so interested? What keeps you so like I am into like I like being in this world of casting and in this like what keeps you so interested? Can you tell us?
What keeps me engaged? Okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, I have a very tiny, teeny, tiny attention span. So every job I had before this one, and I just celebrated my 25th year at Playwrights Horizon. So yay. I guess, it's always different. It's always a new play, a new project you're working on. You're constantly 10 steps ahead, reading new scripts, meeting new actors. It's like what's the Stephen Sondheim song? The how many people just got off of the train? Another 100 people just got off of the train. Okay.
Yes.
So it's always moving, and there's always a new production. You're always going to an opening, or you're starting a first rehearsal for one play, or you're meeting with the creative team of a play that you're going to be doing a year from now. So it's always new. And I think that's what keeps me excited and engaged and enthusiastic and passionate about what I do.
Yeah, and Alaine, I just want to just for those of you who've never met Alaine before, she is so passionate about this, and I think that most of us will be surprised by how I just think that Alaine, you honor and are excited by the art and the artistry. It does not feel like a business whenever I talk to you. It feels like we're really like we're having art. It's just like art conversations, and yet you work in an institution of New York City and you've been there
Mhm.
for 25 years that and it does have to make money for the building to exist and put out the things that they put out. And so being somewhere at that for that amount of time and for something that you care so deeply about, how like do you feel a certain responsibility to I don't want to say perform, but to get it right, especially because you care so much about this organization? Like, how does that show up for you around the like, got to make my boss
Oh,
happy feelings? Like, do those things come up for you when you're doing your job?
absolutely. Just like with actors, when you go into an audition and you've prepared and you feel like you're ready to do your best work, and you go in and you don't feel like you quite nailed it. And I mean, it's true for me. I'll go in with all good intentions, and not always maybe, and then I'll sit there, first preview, or and go, should have cast the other guy, you know.
Gosh,
I
God,
mean, we all second guess ourselves. What can I tell you?
yeah.
But yes, I do feel an awesome responsibility, because let me tell you, and I've learned over the years, it's all about casting. And I know that. It's so important. I've seen the same play done twice with a completely different cast, and it was like night and day. So I do know it's an awesome responsibility to make sure that, and also I want my creative teams to be happy. I want my creative teams not only to feel like that is a great cast and I had a blast working with them, but then to also sit back and be proud that their vision has been um, fulfilled,
Mm,
that every person on that stage is doing exactly what they hoped they would do, or even maybe better, maybe beyond what they imagined. um, it's so funny because I went to see, and I'm gonna say what it is, but I there was a play that I loved working on. I was like very excited to work on it for another theater, not Playwrights Horizons, but another theater, and I was really excited to work on it. And I went to the opening, and it was fantastic. I mean, I'll say it was a Shakespeare play,
okay.
and it was the best production I'd ever seen of that play. And I was so excited about it. And I met with the director for brunch the next day. He was like, they were a nightmare. Oh my God. They were evil. I have gray hair. And I was like, hey, then you know what? Talent at a price, because that production blew my mind. It was
Wow.
so
Yeah.
uh
So that's what, when you say that, Elaine, that's so interesting to hear, like talent at a price. I love that you said that. Like, do you feel like part of what when you're helping to bring talent in front of directors and the playwrights and all that stuff, part of what you're balancing is like the job well done, and like you said, people the way they are in the room, because you're working on new plays most often, brand new plays that have never been seen. So
right.
there's a different engagement you need from that actor. So is there anything that you think particularly like happens in the auditions that you're holding that maybe someone who's doing a revival, they don't have the same kind of
Yeah,
expectations or questions?
that's a really good question. And that's one of the great things about working at Playwrights Horizons, is because when you're doing a new play, and the writer has been kind of sitting with these characters for however many years that it's taken them to develop the play, sometimes they're not sure what they're looking for, who these characters are. So they really do, and we really do rely on actors to come in and teach us. So, they'll come in, and this is a perfect example. When I was doing Stage Kiss, Sarah Rule's play, there was a character in it who was like this gym rat. He's like this big, hunky, like dumb guy, and so I brought in all those guys that could play that, could do that. And we sat there watching it, and then we just, and then one of the things I love are wild card ideas. So I'll just throw something out them, like somebody's the polar opposite of everybody we've seen and everything we're looking for. And I mentioned this particular actor, and she said, I love that idea. Can we just see what that looks like? It's completely wrong, but maybe that would be really good for our creative process to kind of see what the opposite of what I wrote is. So we brought in Michael Crichton, and we were hysterical on the floor, dying laughing. And we went, oh my God, that totally, it's so wrong, it's right. And he ended up winning the World Theater Award. I mean, he was nominated for every award, and now he's like a superstar, and he was in Spotlight, and he's on Dexter now. So, and it was his first job. He worked here's the great part. He worked in our box office. Yeah. Pull him out of the box office.
Yeah, that's so well. And Alaine, what I love that you're saying, though, I think that if any actors who are listening and writers, I think there's a lesson in here in when you audition for a new play, specifically with Alaine at Playwrights Horizons, that when you're coming to that room, there is a lot they're learning from you that goes beyond, are you right for the role? That is so beyond just like, is this person good for the gig? Because it's a new play, and you're gonna give them gifts no matter, you're gonna bring them gifts no matter what, in a way.
Yeah. And I'm quoting myself now, but the best audition rarely gets the role. There are so many other factors involved. It's like, the chemistry, maybe with people who are already cast, how do we think that chemistry will play out? Physicality, sometimes it's, it can be, I had one director who we brought in an actress, and she was fantastic. And he said, she's a redhead. I'll never cast a redhead because my ex-girlfriend was a redhead. She broke my heart. I'll never cast a redhead. And seriously.
Was your heart broken? Was your heart broken? My heart would have.
I thought he was kidding. And he was like, no, he was not kidding. So we had to let her go. You have no control over what the negotiations are on the other side of the table. You just have no idea. Playwrights Horizons is unique in the respect that the way we cast is we have a writer, director, and the theater, the producer, who would be like me and Adam Greenfield, and usually it'll be me and the artistic director. We get a vote, and then the writer and director get a vote. So there's 3 votes, but here's the trick: it's got to be unanimous. So we all have to agree. It's like a jury. We all have to agree on who the person is. So now what happens if the director wants one person, the writer wants another person, and the theater, Adam, wants another completely different person? Who do you think gets the part? Who do you think?
None of them? None of the 3?
Fourth choice.
Wow. Okay. Got it.
That has happened.
Got it.
Or, the other two will give in to, or one person will give a more compelling argument as to why their person should be the person. And also many times, because we're a writer's theater, we'll defer to the writer.
Got it.
But that's the sort of interesting dynamic of Playwrights Horizons. It's not true probably for other theaters. So again, you just never, you have no control over how the decision is made, and it has nothing to do with your talent.
Yeah.
It has so much to do with, like we just talked about, so many other factors.
Right. So when if an actor were to give, I guess, not the best performance in an audition, when they leave, or when they come in the room or when they leave, what do you want to be able to feel or experience? What do you want that to be like? I'm not saying this question the best way. I hope you understand what I'm asking. Like, when an actor comes in, what's your biggest hope for them?
Well, my biggest hope is that, everybody is going to give a opening night performance when they walk into the room, which does not always happen. But there are times when people have bad days.
Yeah.
And, that's where I can be an advocate for actors, because I have had situations where somebody came in and did not do their best work, and I knew they were capable of so much more. And I can turn to the director and the writer, and hopefully by that time I've established a relationship with them where they trust me, and I say, listen, I know that was not that was not impressive, but I promise you, give them another chance, because I know they can do it. I know they can nail it. And 9 times out of 10, they'll agree to it, and I'll bring them to callbacks, and then I'm almost always right.
Got it. When that happens, do you so you advocate for that person? Do you say, hey, Carol, that wasn't your best. That wasn't your best, right? Come in here and nail it in the callback. Do you advocate for the actor in that way?
Oh yeah. Okay. I'll say, okay, here's what you got to do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But also, and sometimes that's backfired, because then maybe they'll get in their head, because they think, oh my God, I was so bad. The casting director had to call me and give me notes. Yeah. So, I do it. I try to do it with some finesse, and and try to give them the confidence to say, I know you got this. I know you can do this.
Yeah.
And there have been a couple of times where I say, hey, do you want to come in early and just run through it and just see if we can find those moments that maybe we're missing the first time.
Sure.
So, and that's another thing too, is auditioning, the art of auditioning. It's, there are great actors out there who can't audition, who are just not good at it. There are actors out there who need the rehearsal process in order to turn in a really good performance, and just kind of don't have that, it takes them a minute, to sort of get into the skin of the character and really tell a story. It just takes them time.
How do you as the casting director find that actor then? Do you know what I mean? Because if you haven't experienced them as a good auditioner, how do you find that? Is it someone because you've had a history, or you see them in something else? It's
usually because I know the person, and I've had a history, and I've seen them audition many times, and I know their traps and, and their defaults. So I can, be one step ahead of them.
Yeah.
So, it's, again, like I said, auditioning, it sucks, and it's like, for some, it just does. It's like an IRS audit, but I try in my audition room, I try to create a really safe and supportive place where you can come in and feel supported and feel like a collaborator. And that's why I tell actors, that's what you have to do. You have to come in like you're a collaborator and you're a consultant, and not like you're somebody coming in to be judged. And I think that is the fault so much of our industry, that we have created that myth that that's what it is, that, you're going to come in and we're going to just destroy your dreams, and, going to kill your spirit. And that's not what we want to do. I wish there was a better way to have the audition process. And I have to say, with COVID and people self-taping, I think it's been incredibly empowering for actors, because they can take their time to sort of get the take that they really want us to see,
Mhm.
and the take that they feel best about. So I think in a way, that's been kind of the good thing about COVID and not being able to audition in person. And I'm hoping that maybe, that maybe actors will sort of be able to empower themselves in the same way.
Yeah.
Once we get back into the room and say, okay, wait a minute, now I know how to do this now.
God, I
Yeah.
love what you're saying. Can you speak to this a little bit more? Because right now is Playwrights Horizons auditioning for things that are coming up later in the year, and are you having to do them online and as self-tapes, or where are you at in this process right now?
Right now it's all self-tapes.
Got it.
So we are gathering self-tapes for different productions, sending the directors, and then the directors will review them and pick the people that they like, and then we do like a Zoom callback.
So
Now,
I have 1,000 questions. Can I interrupt you? I want to ask
yeah,
1,000.
do
Okay.
go.
So self-tape for TV film always feels like we know the milieu we're working in. The medium we're working in is a screen, and the
Right.
script I'm holding on to is built for a screen. Whereas theater,
Right.
it isn't like be big and wow. We're not talking about, doing anti-mame over here. But
Yeah.
when they're doing theater, there is a different
Completely
energy.
different.
And what is your
Completely
advice?
different.
Yeah, what advice would you give
Yeah.
actors thinking about
I
it?
think with film and television, and I've seen actors come in with like a list of rules. You have to have a certain color background. Theater is about your version of a story. It's about you are presenting text. So you want to come in and like you want to really physicalize and activate the scene that you're working on within that little frame. And it can be done. Film and television is different because it's what do they say? It's the director's medium, where theater is the actor's medium. So with film and television, you have to sort of like keep it very contained within that space. This is a story. I had an actor who I love, and she does a lot of TV and film, and she was auditioning, putting herself on tape for a play. And I said, okay. And she said, so she had no idea how to do that because she knew how to do film and television. She didn't know how to do a play. And so I said, well, why don't you just do it and send it to me, and I'll give you I'll tell you what I think. And she said, and I was like, it was like, I said, call me. Because I was like, what are you doing in this play? And she said, well, the breakdown said she's lovely. And so the whole thing was her going, I'm so lovely. I'm so lovely, and it was like, there was like nothing going on. It was so boring. And then she said, but the breakdown said she's lovely. And I was like, you are lovely already. Tell the story. The story is about a woman whose husband left her, and she's alone with her child, and she's trying to like instill this power in her kid that you are now the man of the house. I mean, it's like, it's so compelling. And so she's in a place of just, she's a mama bear, and she's ferocious, and it's just like there's so much happening here. It was like, lovely is not an action. Not.
Got it.
And we had a good laugh about it. And she was like, oh my God, I've done TV and film for so much, because it is so much about imagery.
Right.
Where, again, I'll say it again, theater is about the story.
And so
I had one girl who gave a great audition and also that's another thing with tape, you can get away with props.
Okay, that's what I would talk to me about. That. Yeah,
you can get away with it. Yeah, you can't really can't bring a pillow to an audition, a live audition, because then people are like, did she? Because then your brain is going, did she carry that on the subway? Yes. Where was it? Did she go to Bed Bath & Beyond before she came here? Yeah. So your brain is going, but if I'm like, I'm frustrated, and I'm like, with my pillow, I can do that and get away with it.
Right.
But I had an actress who, she was supposed to be hiding behind a tree, and she had a house plant, and she was like hiding behind, like peering behind it. And we were hysterical laughing. It was so entertaining and fun. And, and so, yeah, you have so much more creativity.
Yeah, I hear you saying, there's a little more freedom in it. And also what I'm also hearing is, especially for Playwrights Horizons, where we are presenting a new play where creativity is really going to be honored from the actor, then please use this. I'm sure that every casting director in the world might not say what Alaine is saying right now, but when you're talking about a new play, chances are someone wants to see what you're going to bring to the table in a big way. And I think that sounds really, has anybody ever gone too far where you're like, oh, no.
Sure.
Can you give us a little window?
Yeah, I mean, I hope she's not watching this, but I'm not giving any names.
Okay.
But there was an actress and she was supposed to be playing a prostitute. And I saw her in the hallway and I waved to her and, she went into the bathroom. And then when it was time for her to come in, she walked in and she was wearing like she was wearing scanty lingerie into the audition. Okay. And and I'm sitting there with these guys didn't remember her audition at all. These two men that were sitting on the other side of me. I was trying to tell, well, I was like, let's get past the fact that maybe that wasn't the right choice to wear this skimpy lingerie, but let's talk about what her audition. It was like, we don't remember it.
Okay.
We don't remember it.
It upstaged her outfit or her body upstaged.
And that's why I always say, trick the eye. She could have worn like a nice pair of jeans and in a sexy camisole.
Yeah.
And, and like maybe even a soft sweater. And we would have gotten the idea.
Right.
And it's, like somebody who comes in auditioning for a cop and they wear a complete policeman's uniform. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, is that your uncle's? Is your uncle a cop? Is that
we're not watching you. We're not. It's no longer about your perform. Yeah, we're doing this other thing. We're like, where'd you get the outfit?
Right. But come in with like a cap that looks, or a blue shirt or something like, again, just something just kind of give us a little taste of what that would be. Yeah.
Got it. So I know you've cast TV and film in your life and theater, all these things. Is there a big difference for you in the way you approach breaking something down for TV or film?
The TV film is just so much more immediate. And again, it's very specific about what they're looking for. They usually have a very, very, very specific ideas of what they want, where with theater, especially new plays, it's a little more broad. And like I said, I can kind of throw those wild cards in and just to kind of teach us something. But like when I used to work on Ed, I would get these calls at 10 o'clock at night saying, okay, we need a Korean actor. He has to be overweight and he has to juggle and ride a unicycle. I'm not kidding you.
Okay.
I'm not kidding you. And he's got to be on the bus tomorrow at 6 a.m. and because he shoots tomorrow. Yeah.
And what do you do in that moment? Like, I was about to put on my.
Do you know what? I had somebody. I was like, I know who this is. He's not overweight, but we can
make
cosmetically, we can do it. And he got a job. He was doing it the next day. So
that's wild.
So I guess that's a difference. They're just like, the director has his vision and it has to be what because he doesn't have time to sort of rethink it. Because usually you get the script and the next day you're shooting.
And is one more fun for you than another, or different parts of your brain, and you like both?
I am a theater girl. I love theater, but I have to say I've been working on podcasts for Marvel New Media.
Yeah.
And that has been a blast.
Oh, wow.
It's so theatrical. And if y'all want to subscribe to Old Man Star-Lord on Sirius,
I know who that is.
So much fun. Yeah, it's so much fun. It's like Tim Busfield and Danny Glover and Vanessa Williams and so I'm giving them a plug. You love it?
Do it. Yes.
Yeah, and it's the stories are so much fun. And the cool thing is Marvel New Media. Most of those people, they're either comic book nerds or they're like theater geeks, theater people that have, this is kind of their side hustle. Working for these podcasts, and the stories are so well written and they're so much fun and they're so much fun to cast.
And also they're theatrical. Like there's lots of things
going on. They're so
like,
theatrical. And it's so cool when you can say, when you like say it, if you say it in the name of a theater actor and everybody gets excited. With film and television, that doesn't always happen. You say a theater actor and they go, who? Who's that? Yeah. So it's been a blast to work on, and I'm going to be working on more of those. So I just finished one. I've got 3 more.
Oh my gosh.
And awesome. they're series. They're different series of focusing on on superheroes.
So wait, and so you're casting all voiceover talent for the narrative podcast?
Yeah, but it's really done in a very theatrical way. The first director I worked with is Kimberly Senior, who directed on Broadway. I can't think of the name of the play on Broadway. Anyway, she's a one of the, she was a Tony nominee. She's amazing, but she's very theatrical. So they have all the directors are like theater people who just know how to make it through theatrical through an audio medium, make it theatrical through an audio medium, and it's so cool.
That is so cool. And so as you're casting that in the middle of coming out of pandemic, but voiceover never is necessary, it's not always an in-person audition anyway, are the scripts so like pow 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 this like, is there just such a heightened layer to it that you find are actors really able to deliver, or have you had to give a lot of notes of like, get in the pocket of what the genre is, like what is that?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I've learned how many Marvel nerds there are in this world since I started working on them, and I'm a convert to that world because I wasn't before. And I was just amazed at how many people understand the sort of shorthand and the lingo and the style of it. But you can tell right away if somebody doesn't, and if they don't understand it, it doesn't usually work. But that's where you do your homework as an actor. Right. I did my homework as a casting director. I'd never watched a Marvel movie. I mean, all the way through anyway. So I had to get on Netflix and, pay-per-view and start watching them so that I could understand the whole world. And it's fascinating.
That is awesome. That is so cool. Fun, Alaine. That's really fun. I love that. So question for you, kind of in a different direction here. So I know that you are also a fabulous teacher and you work with actors in such a grounded and beautiful way that I think helps actors return to why they're doing this in the first place and what the craft is all about. And so what do you say to the actor who is like, well, let me say this a different way. Are there ways that actors kind of break through and they get auditions for Playwrights Horizons, or they get auditions with you that feel like, I don't know, the non-traditional route? I'm just trying to speak to the actor who maybe isn't seeing those auditions or is trying to get them when they don't have representation. Is there something that actually catches your eye or that you notice that actors do well?
Do you mean as far as like meeting them outside of the audition
room? Out the audition room, or like going to open calls or sending you something, or like what are ways
going to see, sometimes it's like just seeing a day player on Bull, and going, who is that? I don't know who that person is, and then you look them up and you go, oh, okay. You just, school showcases, but also, through classes. I've cast, I have a lot of success stories of people who've taken classes with me, and I know they're trustworthy. I know that they'll come in and deliver. So I'll bring them in, and, and it's happened many times. I was, one of my favorites was Adrian Moore from Orange is New Black, and she's also has this TV series now, and it has a different name. I don't remember it, but anyway, I was teaching a class with Scott Frankel, who wrote Grey Gardens, and she took the class with us. And at the same time, I was casting Milk Like Sugar, which was a co-production between La Jolla and Playwrights Horizons. And I brought her in, and she got the part. Wow. She was so good. The director said, just tell her to show up to tech. She was that good.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
I know. I love that. I love when that happens. Yes. And, and now she's got, that launched her career, and it's really exciting that happened. Vanessa Kai, also, who's on the Kung Fu series, I pulled her out of retirement. She didn't want to act anymore. And I was like, oh, just take my class. And then ended up casting her. I've cast her in so many plays. Wow. And now she just got this series, and they've just been renewed for another season. So, I mean, it's like a lot of different places. EPAs. Yeah. Allison Case. I met Allison Case at EPA. She was right out of Columbia. And I was sitting there. I met her, and then afterwards we did a joint EPA with the public. We did a collaborative EPA, and she was about to come in, and I said, okay, you guys, you're casting hair. pay attention.
Oh,
And she came in and she was in hair. She got a Tony nomination for that.
that's wild. That's
Yeah,
so wild.
from an
And so,
EP.
so what I'm hearing, and I think everyone should just hear this, is Alaine, you're so accessible to actors because you teach and
I
because
try
you
to be. I
do
try
go
to be.
out
That's my
there.
job. It's like
Right.
it's how, it's the best way to, you want to meet people, and there's a lot of different ways you can meet them.
Yeah, I love that. I love that it's you make it so. I'm not going to say make it easy, but in some ways you make it easy. You're there. We need to just show up if you really want to
Yeah.
get in front of you. Is there so in terms of those are actors you would have met or you would have known. Is there ever a time other than when representation sends you someone? Because I'm assuming you'd probably I trust this agent, I trust this manager, and blah blah
Yes.
blah. Yeah, right.
Yes.
That obviously that happens. But is there ever a time you would what do you need to see of an actor you've never met before that makes you say, yeah, I want to see them? Like when you said from Bull, I was like, oh, that's a good example. Like when you would see someone doing a day player on a TV show, you'd be like, oh, interesting. They did a great job there. Is there any other ways that you kind of like, do you like seeing people's reels? Do you like seeing?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Reels are really helpful. I really do like them. I watch them. When people send them to me, I watch them.
And
I'm grateful for, technology where people can actually do that, that's available, and also websites.
are you
so
so
grateful for
wait, Alaine,
websites.
I'm a huge person who's like, don't have a I like don't I this okay, so wait, let's have a fight here. Or maybe we won't have a fight.
Uh-oh.
So I
Okay.
always okay, right. So I always say, yes, you can have a website, but spend your time on getting your profiles on Actors Access and casting networks cleaned up before you're going to spend more time on the website.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that the same direction you would take?
Yes, absolutely. All of the above. Absolutely.
Okay.
In fact, and also, I learn a lot about people from Instagram. Sometimes I'll see, I wonder if they have Instagram, and I'll look on their Instagram and I learn a lot about people and go,
So what's a mistake they make on Instagram, or what's something that you see on Instagram that helps you know about them? Is it ever just like, I want to get a sense of who they are, or
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever been anybody that did something,
Awesome.
that turned me off
Turn you off. Great.
on
That's awesome.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what's emerging, if you guys aren't picking up on this, is that Alaine is just curious and fascinated by actors and loves them and wants to get to know them
Mhm.
better. And that's what I think is so
Yeah.
an underlying river underneath.
Oh
all of
God, I
this.
cyber stalk. Yeah, we all do. We all do.
I love it.
We get really curious about certain people. If we really love somebody, we're like, okay, do they have a girlfriend? Do they have a boyfriend? Where are they from? We get really, really creepy.
I love Great. So just so
No,
you know,
we don't.
Alaine is a stalker.
We don't. We're not that kind of stalker. We just like get excited about people, and you want to like get to know them better because you want to obviously be an advocate for them.
Right. So, okay. So I want to talk to you about that. So in the room, when you've got artistic director, writer, you've got your playwright, director, you've got the four of you essentially in the room. Am I getting that right? The numbers right, essentially, right?
Right.
That's a lot of personalities, and the director and the playwright
man.
and the director and the playwright are maybe new personalities, and you guys already know each other. Like, who do you become in that negotiation? Like, how do you see yourself?
Oh, it's always different. It's always different. I am finding more and more and more that directors and writers want, like myself, to create a warm and welcoming environment, because they've learned, as I learned a long time ago, that if somebody does their best work, it's going to only benefit you because you are going to get to see what you need to see. So yeah, if you were creating, that space for them to do good work, they're going to do good work. But it really depends on, and every team has a different personality. And I've had teams that were hard. I've had teams that were just not, their energy was not conducive to creativity. Let's just say that. Okay. And then I always feel like then I become overly like gregarious in those situations. Like, that was amazing, and oh my God, it's so wonderful to see you. And I'll engage with them and say, sometimes if like they're really awful, the teams, sometimes what I'll do is like, I'll look on their resume and see something I've seen them in. And when they come in, I'll say, hey, I saw you in this play. You were terrific. And then I'll do like a little icebreaker small talk.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, the other people at the table, like, oh, what? Oh, they were good in something. Okay. So I can sort of like warm things up for them.
Yeah,
And
you're like a
kind of, and
thermostat.
also, yeah, and so yeah, turn up the thermostat. I like that. And then also maybe give that actor a little oomph of like confidence
Yeah.
and empowerment, so that maybe they will kind of be dazzling, and they won't be distracted by the Politburo I'm sitting next to,
Yeah,
and
sure.
and
Yes.
and also we get tired, people get tired. I had a director once who he got tired and he was like, I'm leaving. Got up and left. And then I had to like reschedule everybody for the rest of the day. It was so embarrassing and
Oh my
awful.
gosh. Oh my gosh. So,
But it's intense, and it's very intense, and it's like very draining,
yeah,
to sit there all day. Yeah.
seeing the same thing over and over again, I'm sure. And then also, are there times when you're like the director and the writer, you're getting the sense that like, oh, they're not a good match. Oh boy, what's this gonna be
Oh
like?
boy. Oh yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that happens.
And then you just be as sweet as pie and try to warm.
Well,
I
then
mean,
you have to kind of broker between
yeah,
the two of them, between the director and the writer. Sometimes the chemistry doesn't work out. Most of the time it's fine, but
okay.
every once in a while, ooh, it's not good. It's not
Got
good.
it.
Yeah. And again, that's a place where you can be that mediator, that person to kind of like, helps, normalize and smooth things over between the creatives in the room. And that's, yeah, we have a lot of jobs. We are psychologists more than anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but human nature, it's human nature. Not everybody sees eye to eye or gets along.
But
Yeah.
for any of the writers that might be listening, is there anything that I'm sure that many playwrights are, dreaming of Playwrights Risings being where their plays get produced. And so was there anything you would say to them in terms of that journey or what you see happening there that you're excited about?
Well, it just being able to introduce emerging writers to the world, to the community, is such a rush. And I'm really excited about a lot of the writers who are coming up. And also, established writers that have had a home in our theater for years, like who I adore, who I think are still at the top now are at the top of their game, like
Mm.
Craig Lucas, and Sarah Rule and Teresa Reback, and these people who are still writing plays and still getting it done. It's funny because I don't think she'd mind if I say this, but I had a conversation with Teresa Reback a couple weeks ago, and she was talking about, and I was like, wow, you're just so prolific. You're constantly writing, you're constantly being produced, and you're always busy. She does film, she directs films now, she's doing everything. And I said, what's the secret? What's the secret of your longevity? Can I say a naughty word?
Yeah.
I can. I'm allowed.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. She said, you don't fuck with the muse.
What did you take away from that? Did she
I
expound
think
anymore?
because it's like you trust your gut. You don't compromise, and you don't give in when you know something's right. When you know this is the right thing, you don't give in. Yeah.
Yeah, that
And
is
I was like,
beautiful.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, are you like, yeah, I knew that when we were in that audition room the other day, you were really opinionated. Like, did you see this as a way that she performs in the world?
Yeah. Well, she doesn't, what I think is so great about her is she doesn't, she has never sold out. Yeah. And, and I said, but you've gotten so beat up over the years. And she said, yeah, I have. And it's okay, because she's still standing,
Yeah. So, and I love the way you said that. I think it's a beautiful place to kind of put a cap on this conversation, because if there was a wish that you had for any of the actors and the creatives that are listening, what would you want them to hear from? Because, they might like put Alaine on a pedestal and Playwrights Horizons on a pedestal. And I know that you are so much more grounded than the pedestal that they might put you on.
That always sounds weird when I hear that, but okay. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, they'd be like, oh my gosh, one day.
People on pedestals get knocked off. So
okay. Let's forget that. I didn't say that. Okay. So they might, a different level, they might think of themselves. Okay. What's your wish for them? Did you want to leave them with?
It's just to love what you do and be honored and humbled that you've been chosen to do this work, because I do think that this is a calling. And, those people that answer the call, I think are the bravest people on earth, because it's not easy. It's 5% of actors in this country make a living. And it's, so, it takes a lot of courage to take this path. But, the great thing about it is, and I always say, define your success based on your commitment to the work. I always say that. So that's what it should be. It should be, I love this work. I'm gonna just dive in and do it and not worry about anything else. And then, you have to have those side hustles, obviously, that help support your art. So, and just find something, that creates revenue
yes.
that you also are equally passionate about. And just, it's your baby. Take good care of your baby. But I think what I wish for most for actors is just that they love what they do, and that you're following your bliss. Yeah. And I know it's disappointment. There's a lot of disappointment in this business, and I would hope and wish for them to have, resiliency and you're never going to die of a broken heart, and your heart's going to get broken a lot in this business. It does, but you can never let your heart shut down. That's the most important thing, is just don't shut your heart down, or close it off. It's because, and I always hate that. I always hate that term. You have to have a tough skin. You have to be hard, and hard is brittle and brittle breaks. You have to be flexible and just, you have to have really good coping skills, and you have to engage in self-care and have a process that when you don't get a job that you really thought maybe you had a shot at, and you have that disappointment, that you have a process in which you can take care of yourself, and so that you can so that you can suffer that heartbreak. You're allowed to have a pity party, but then you can, the next day, you can on to the next thing, on to the next project or whatever, and creating your own work, and doing and not waiting around for a casting director or an agent to call you, or a director to call you. So I guess that's what I would wish for anybody, is that you love it and relish it, and are proud that you've taken on the mantle, or have taken this on, or answered the calling.
That is beautiful. I think that's so beautiful. I love what you said. Success defined as your commitment to the process, to the craft. Is that what you said? To the art. Yeah. Whatever. Right.
Yeah.
But that is such and that way you can have the pity party. But was I committed to it? Yeah. That my success was there because I was committed to. Yeah. I think that's such a beautiful way to kind of leave things and kind of leave an impression. But Alaine, I wanted to make sure that this audience knows about both the podcast that you're producing, and we get the name exactly right, so everybody can hear that again. Tell us the name one more time.
Yeah, it's Old Man Star-Lord,
right?
And it's Marvel New Media,
right?
And this is the first one of many. So I'm really, it's really fun. It's really fun, and it's a lot of cool theater actors in it.
I love it.
And also Playwrights Horizons, our soundstage. So you can also download and subscribe to our podcast series, which is called Soundstage. And I'm working on season 2. So season 1 is still out there, but season 2 is now started to drop. So MS Phoenix Rising is hilarious. So I hope y'all get to watch that one too.
Okay, great. We will make sure that we link to all of these things in the show notes for everyone, so that if you want to check these out, you can find them there, or you can certainly Google and find them super easily. Alaine, I'm just so grateful. It always feels so good to see you. I wish that was in real
You
life. So I could give
too.
you
And
a
Brian,
hug.
this is such a cool thing you do. So yeah, I mean, you are answering the call.
I feel like I am trying over here. Thank you.
And you're like it's such a valuable, tool for actors. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for what you do. And I will see you again soon, I hope. All right.
Okay, sounds
Take
good.
care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.